Welcome to Face the Tribune, and we're here with our distinguished guest. He is a candidate running for the state senate, and he knows a lot about politics. He's been doing it for many, many years. Welcome.
Thank you. And it is Senate District 3, which has approximately 149,000 people. It's a huge area. The northern boundary is Alexander, and the southern boundary, the furthest point, is Twain. And it's got a heck of a lot of homes, people, and condos and apartments.
Okay, and your full name and title and everything, we missed that.
Okay, it is Jonathan Friedrich, and I have been a 14-year resident, the same location, here in Las Vegas.
And what that name will be appearing on the ballot?
It's exactly the way it will appear, Jonathan Friedrich.
And so when the voter goes to the booth, they want to vote for you for state senate.
I'm hoping, and I will be first on the ballot. I have a Democrat and Republican challenger. The Republican is nothing more than a spoiler to try to take votes from me.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about who you are, what issues you stand on, and hopefully the voters are willing to agree with you and vote for you.
Sounds like a plan to me.
So, Chris, what do you think?
Buenos Aires, Las Vegas. We welcome all people from all different parties, but this is Face the Tribune, so we're going to ask difficult questions, and we allow the people to make up their own minds. We speak the truth here, so John, I'm sure you have questions to ask him, and it's time to face the Tribune.
Well, in fact, I think you've not only got the hot seat, but you're in between me and Chris here. So you're going to be in a very truthful area.
Well, I brought my bodyguards with me.
That is good. That is really good. Okay, first question. Why are you running for this position of power?
Well, it's only one of many senators. Very simple answer: to protect the people of this state. I have lived here for 14 years. I am a former commissioner appointed by Governor Sandoval to the Common Interest Community Commission, and I have seen so much abuse of homeowners living in homeowner associations, and I also discovered a very corrupt commission, and as a result of my dealings and exposure, the governor wound up removing 3 of the commissioners.
Okay, so explain to me, this commission was appointed to you, you're appointed to this commission by the governor?
That is correct. There are 7 members on that commission, and it deals strictly with homeowner associations.
And does that include mobile home associations too?
Oh, I believe so, yes. If it is a association where people are living, it would be included. We never had a case where a mobile home came up.
Okay, so most of them have been traditional apartment complex, condo complexes?
Individual homes, yeah.
Yes, okay.
And we dealt with some very, very dishonest people.
Are from the homeowners' side? Is that what you're talking about? And that was to basically to both sides?
By the board members and what's known as the CAMs, the Community Association Managers.
So you do have a lot of experience in politics. So
I was also a non-paid lobbyist, emphasis on non-paid, in the last 2 legislative sessions.
I've never heard that before, non-paid lobbyists.
Well, you're hearing it now.
Usually you have lobbyists that make all this money. In fact, right. They're the ones that are filling their pockets from these politicians. Well, good for you. That's pretty cool.
I started off by saying, I'm honest.
So non-paid lobbyists. Now, what were you lobbying for?
For 1.1 or 1.2 million people, that's all, that live in homeowner associations in this state. There are over 3,000 of these. Also, I've been very active in fighting with NV Energy and the Public Utilities Commission over the smart meters.
God bless you.
So what is this thing about smart meters?
They are devices that can transmit the amount of power somebody is consuming electronically. they also emit cancer-causing radiation. But who cares about the people? The United States government, as part of the infrastructure of the grid, gave NV Energy $138 million to install these. And a substantial number of people fought NV Energy and got the Public Utilities Commission to allow us that didn't want them to opt out. And we had to pay good old NV Energy, I think it was $58, to take off a perfectly good analog meter and replace it with a, quote, refurbished meter. And they charge us a little over $8 a month for a meter reader to come and visually read the reader, even though NV Energy is currently getting paid to do that in their current tariff. So they're double dipping.
Oh, my goodness. So that's a double dip?
Yes.
Double dip politicians, double dip energy source?
No, not double. Well, it's not politicians. It was the three members, the three commissioners on the Public Utilities Commission, and they have, two of them have been removed by the governor. He did not reappoint them, and one was reassigned to another commission. The governor was furious with them over the solar issue.
So you like the governor?
No, I do not.
Why don't you like the governor?
Because he put forth and allowed the commerce and I'm just trying to think of the margins and commerce tax to be pushed through. He made all kinds of deals with the other members of the legislature. And this is going to hurt the people of the state, hurt small businesses, and of course the casinos and the mining industry are exempt.
So you want to tax more?
He wanted to tax more, supposedly, for education. Well, why then are they going to appoint 41 new deputy superintendents and pay them, and I don't know what their salary is, but I'm sure it's substantial, rather than putting all this money into the classroom where it belongs? So, as I said from the onset, my goal is to protect the people of this state.
And save the money.
Well, I have seen government waste over the years. Before I moved here, I used to be a general contractor in both Utah and New York, and I used to do government work. And you can just throw up when you see how government wastes money. And I've seen it firsthand.
Absolutely.
So ask me some tough questions.
Well, Mr. Friedrich, I'd like to ask you, being a Latino, explain, because they make up a large voting block of the state of Nevada now.
There's about 46% Latino in Senate District 3.
Yes, so explain to, I know myself, I don't know that much about the libertarian movement and the Libertarian Party and what your beliefs are, and so maybe explain to the community what is the difference between libertarians and, let's say, Republicans and Democrats.
Well, based upon the last legislative session, the Republicans are busy taxing everybody. They sound more like Democrats than they do Republicans. The Libertarians are opposed to the commerce and margins tax. They want less regulation and more freedom and protection for individuals.
That's good.
Yeah, you're in favor of marijuana use?
No. That is the one issue that we have I don't want to say dispute, a disagreement with. I believe, based upon first-hand knowledge, and I've never, ever smoked, not even taken a puff, and as Slick Willie Bill Clinton said years ago, he never inhaled. That was a good line.
Well, they're still talking about it. It's such a good line, they're still talking about it.
That's right. There is a ballot initiative. Now, the state of Colorado has come out with a report based upon actual findings. Number one, all the money that the state thought they were going to get, it hasn't been that much. Why? Because if you are a user and you're buying from Joe on the corner for $1, and now they have state-run dispensaries or privately run but sanctioned by the state, and you've got to pay $2, who are you going to go and buy from?
Absolutely.
And then there is the problem with children ingesting this marijuana-laced candy. Visits to the emergency room with young children have, I think, doubled.
Wow.
Because they thought it was candy, and it was a loaded piece of candy.
It's sort of the same premise that adults or parents that smoke cigarettes, their children end up getting the pack of cigarettes when they lay it down or whatever. So it's sort of like the same process.
Well, my father was a Camel cigarette smoker for 40 years. It killed him. When I was 10 years old, I took one of his butts, lit it up, took a puff, turned green, and never touched a cigarette again.
Well, I've never smoked either, and I think that's really a good situation is never get started, because it does create a lot of health issues.
Absolutely.
And
I remember his fingers used to be where he held the cigarette. They were stained yellow from the nicotine. Can you imagine what it does to somebody's lungs?
That's right. Now, I know there are two other candidates on the ballot for president. Do you all have a libertarian candidate?
Yes, we do. A gentleman by the name of Gary Johnson.
Okay. He's doing well, actually. He's getting, I think, 9 to 10% of the vote.
Depends on whose poll you look at, but he will be here. He's been here twice, and he's going to be back here on the 18th for a rally.
you might want to ask him that Face the Tribune or Conservative Roundtable would love to have him on the air, and we'd be more than happy to broadcast and have it for a few moments conversation.
I will relay the message to the chairman of the Libertarian Party, who is in, I assume, constant touch with him.
That would be great. Because we want to be able to give the voters the opportunity.
A real choice?
Yes. Well, see, if you go back to the polls and stuff, I've never subscribed to polls because I don't believe them. And I don't believe the traditional broadcast media because, let's face it, they're all biased.
Shocking. Do you detect the tone of sarcasm in my voice?
The WikiLeaks process now, that everybody's trying to blame the Russians for this information. To me, we'll just consider them another news media. The Russians just gave us new information. I think that they're giving us better information than our own broadcast networks.
I think computers will be the downfall of this nation and the world.
Wow.
There's so much information, misinformation, and exposure on them that it's just a...
How do you feel about that? Do you think it's what you hear going on with Hillary Clinton and all that process? How do you feel about that?
It's disgusting. And I've been out walking my district, Senate 3, and people that I do speak with are thoroughly disgusted. And they say to me, we're not sure we're going to vote. I say, well, you have a third candidate. Who's that, they say? I said, Gary Johnson. And the problem is he's not getting the exposure he needs.
Yeah, so you're advocating for them to vote for a libertarian ticket all the way across.
Well, I can't vote for Mr. Trump, and I can't vote for Hillary Clinton. And people are just totally turned off and disgusted. They're not discussing the issues in this country. All they're doing is trading barbs and insults about to each other.
I've been following politics for many years, and I know that many campaigns use negative campaigning, and unfortunately, negative campaigning does exactly what it's there for, and that's to reduce the amount of voters at the polls.
It can also turn them off.
Well, I mean, that's what happens. It turns them off, and they don't participate. And so I truly believe this election, there's going to be only maybe 10%, 15% of the population that's going to decide this very vital election.
And I have come across that in my canvassing of potential voters, and a tremendous number of them that do answer the door tell me that, oh, we don't vote, or we're not going to vote this election. They're so disgusted. They're being besieged by endless negative campaign advertising on TV, and it's a barrage, one right after another, and I just hit the mute button on the remote for the TV.
Well, here's an issue that I don't know anybody that is a taxpayer or anybody that pays bills. They like taxes. What's your position on taxes?
I'm glad you asked. I moved here 14 years ago from the North Shore of Long Island in New York. When I left, I was paying $25,100 a year in real estate taxes. When I was out looking for homes here, and the realtor pulled up to a house, my first question was, what are the real estate taxes? Then, and only then, did I ask him, how much is the price of the house? So I think that pretty much explains it. Now, there is, since you brought that question up, there was a bill that was slipped in the very, very last moments of the last legislative session called SJR 13, Senate Joint Resolution 13, which would increase all of our real estate taxes by removing the cap and assessing the homes at fair market value, which would be extremely painful, financially painful, to people living here. A lot of them live paycheck to paycheck. And all of a sudden, if you're going to double or triple their real estate taxes, how are they going to survive?
Now, is this just residential or commercial also?
I believe it's both. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it taxes. It does offend a lot of people.
And by the way, it has to pass a second time, which would mean this upcoming Senate and Assembly session. And when I'm elected, I will vote against it to make sure it never sees the light of day.
When just a couple of days ago, the state senate passed the stadium bill for the Las Vegas, future Las Vegas Raiders, by just a couple of votes. How would have you voted in that?
Against. Why? A number of reasons, and actually one of them came up last night. The stadium, they claim, is going to be for 65,000 people. Let's take a conservative number. 30,000 people come to see a game by car. When the game is over, where or how are those 30,000 vehicles going to exit the parking lots or the parking structures? It will be mayhem. It will be chaos. People will be stuck in traffic for hours. That's a major issue. Now, are they planning to widen I-15? I assume they're going to build it near I-15, although the mayor wants to put it up Cashman Field, which is nowhere near a major highway. A stadium of that size needs to be near major roadways. The other issue is, are they going to pay real estate tax on it, or are they going to be exempt? And if there is real estate tax, who's going to pay it? Infrastructure, natural resources.
Well,
how much water is going to be?
Who owns the stadium?
I believe Mr. Adelson. I don't know. Is it the NFL? Is it the Raiders?
Okay.
I don't have those answers. And I
So
don't know
are
if
the
they work
Raiders?
them out.
So basically, the Raiders are going to be the leaseholders.
I don't know. I don't know
or
the
they're going to
details.
be the lessees.
I don't have the details.
Okay. All
That's being worked out. I just spoke with somebody from the Libertarian Party who was up there just prior to the Senate voting on it, and there were about 50 people that spoke against it. And what were the senators doing? They were playing with their iPhones. They were talking on their telephones, the cell phones.
They weren't listening.
They weren't listening. It was a charade.
That's
Disgusting.
that's bad behavior. And that's a dumb politician, because somebody should
They're
be
shirking their
videotaping.
responsibility.
Somebody should be videotaping that, and then somebody should be broadcasting that.
Unfortunately, I was walking the streets, knocking on doorbells, trying to get people to vote for me. They say that you walk, you win. And I used to be 6 feet tall. Now I'm only 5'6".
How many registered voters are in your district?
About 40 some odd thousand, roughly.
So it's really not that many, considering the amount of people in Las
There's
Vegas.
about 149,000 people in the district. And I'm finding a lot of people that do answer the doorbell say, "Oh, we don't vote."
Okay, so let me ask this. Okay, you are libertarian. You have to get Republican votes. You got to get Democratic votes. You got to get independents, people that are not
Correct.
So
Crossing the line.
So basically, you're campaigning with a very general message.
I am going to every single door. I don't solicit just one party and not the other.
Okay, so your approach is that you want to get anybody's vote that's willing to vote for you based on your platform.
And
what is your main 3 platform ideas?
repeal the commerce and tax, require the Public Utilities Commission to protect ratepayers and not be in the pocket of NV Energy, and also to give homeowners due process. Now, as a commissioner, on 2 occasions, I tried to introduce a regulation for due process. You have heard of that, I assume. It's only the foundation of our entire judicial system. And the Common Interest Community Commission voted it down. So homeowners wind up facing a kangaroo court of their peers and usually get fined and suffer the consequences. I am very proud to state that in the last session I got 2 bills through the legislature. AB 238, which Vicki Dooley, who unfortunately is not running because her husband passed away, was brave enough to carry that bill, and there was tremendous opposition to it, and it deals with the purchasing and issuance of contracts. And SB 174, which prohibits a husband and wife or domestic partners from being on a board at the same time.
Now, you have the U.S. Constitution. How would you consider yourself regarding the U.S. Constitution? Are you?
I support it, obviously.
Yeah, well, a lot of people. But are you more towards the traditional constitutionalist, written as it was back then, or are you more towards like a living document type?
Well, it's not easy to change it. So you've got to go with what's there, and we have a Supreme Court that will interpret it.
Well, in other
when
words,
the issues come up.
Yeah, in other words,
Do I want to change it? No.
The Republicans are more towards the original foundation,
Conservative.
and the Democrats are more towards the living document type, revising it as we're going along.
Don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Okay, so you're more towards the Republican side of the fence on that issue.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. If you want to take this time to ask people to maybe donate to your campaign right now, if you want to feel
That
free
would
to do
be
that.
great.
Go ahead.
It's Jonathan Friedrich for Senate District 3.
Okay, and if somebody wants to call you, can they call you?
702. On my campaign literature, I have my home phone number, my home address, my website. The only thing that's missing is my blood pressure, and that's normal.
Okay, give your telephone number here, and give your website address now.
Okay? It's 702-822-4555, and it is Friedrich, 4 F-O-R, S like in Sam, D like in David, 3.com.
One of the most important issues for any legislature in any state is education. What's your feeling on education? What do you believe in?
I was a college instructor for a number of years here at CSN, and the students I had worked all day, came to class in the evening, and struggled to stay awake. And I tried to be very liberal with them, and kept their attention by doing very innovative things. But as far as what's going on here in Clark County School District, I see much, much, too much money being spent on administration. I would like to see 25% of the administrative budget cut and moved into the teachers' pockets, into the classroom.
So hiring more teachers, you'd be
and better salaries.
And better salaries, and sort of a living wage.
And buying books as needed.
How about school choice? How do you feel about school choice?
I'm in favor of the savings accounts. Let people, if they're not satisfied with public education, they're falling down, well, they want to send their kids to private school, let them, and help them pay for it.
Now, law enforcement, let's go to crime now. Crime and order, law and order. Law enforcement, how do you feel about that? You have the Black Lives Movement, and then you have everybody else.
I live in supposedly a gated community. Last year, we had 6 burglaries. Now, the gate is manned. It's not one of these press the buttons and the gate opens. I myself have been almost carjacked one night in a shopping center. I was also in that same gated community burglarized. I had my computer, printer, and copy machine stolen. And Metro has done a very, very poor job. They have managed to keep a lid on the social unrest, although a number of years ago there was an individual who was arrested. He was placed in a police car. He was cuffed. Somehow he got out. And what did the cop do? He ran after him and he shot him in the back. And that was considered justified shooting. I disagree. This was maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. My take on it is Metro is predominantly concerned about the murders, the home invasions. Several years ago, we got a bill through the legislature to protect homeowners, and it involved calling Metro, filing a complaint with Metro to investigate, and it was going to be a misdemeanor. Metro has done zilch, zero, nothing with that statute, and I myself have brought it to them, to one of their detectives who just dismissed it. So Metro has a long way to go in my eyes. And I've spoken to...
Is it they don't have enough money to take care of all the crime issues?
Nobody has enough money.
Okay, so they need more money.
It's always more money.
Okay, so would you be in favor of giving them more money?
They just got more money.
Okay, and
with
so
a sales tax increase.
So basically, it's about management then.
It could be. I don't have knowledge of the inner workings. We have a new sheriff who was elected, a year and a half ago. Has he made inroads? I don't know.
What is your position on, this is a big issue with Republicans and Democrats. What is your position on common sense gun control laws? Because from what I understand, I mean, even a lot of the attacks that are happening right now and a lot of the shootings, there's really nothing that can be done that could have prevented a lot of these people from owning these handguns based on the laws that we have right now. So is there anything you would change about that?
Yes. I don't believe people should be able to go on the internet and buy a gun. There's no control. Similar at a gun show. Let them get a background check. Real simple. The FBI has files on all of us. So, push the buttons, put your name in there, your social security number. I myself went out and got a pistol. And this was in the days before the last legislative session. And I went to the local police precinct. I put the gun in the drawer, gave them my name, my social security number, and about 5 to 7 minutes later I had a blue card, which is no longer issued. So they did a background check on me. I came up clean. Bingo, I had a gun. So, I don't see anything wrong with that. Nobody's trying to take your gun away. All they want to do is make sure you're not a crackpot, that you're not mentally unstable.
And that's really the problem right now, is that there are a lot of laws on the books for background investigations, and there's a lot of laws on the books for, in fact, my position is that I'm more towards the Bill of Rights, and I think the more you mess with the Bill of Rights, the more problems we have. And so what has happened with all these regulations and stuff like that, the bad guys are going to be able to get whatever they want. It's guys like you, the good guys, that have a heart, that go through all these regulations, do all this stuff.
It wasn't hard. It's a simple process.
The criminal's not going to go through any process.
Well,
other than breaking into somebody's house or
possibly shooting them.
Yeah, and so
I agree.
Would you feel like, let's say, for instance, there are a lot of bills, there are a lot of regulations, but the more that this is a wedge issue between Democrats and Republicans. You have those that support the NRA and gun owners, and the opposite side, the ones that are against. Mm-hmm. And so it's a constant fight in between one another. And so you're saying you're more like towards a balanced approach?
That would be a good way of putting it. As you said, a common sense approach. As far as the issue about, if I lend you my gun, are you now breaking the law? That's ridiculous.
Okay, so you're not going to add stuff like that.
No. Yeah. You want to buy a gun, register it, give me your name.
In other words, you have the smarts not to give it to a bad guy.
Well, I wouldn't know. If, let's say, you came to me, I have no idea. Have you ever been arrested? Have you ever done evil deeds? And you give me the money, I give you the gun, and you go off and go and hold somebody up. I don't know that. Yeah. But a background check would reveal, oh, wait a minute, you've been convicted of such and such, and it's a no deal.
Now, how about those that have, let's say, mental conditions?
Absolutely not.
And do you think the government's doing enough?
It's never enough.
To protect for those guys that have let's say, lost their mind, and they're able to, let's say, they don't come up on any kind of background check or whatever.
Let me give you a very current, quick story. I am involved in some litigation. It's civil litigation. The defense attorney, and this has been all over the news, the defense attorney is a gentleman by the name of James Pengilly. This happened on September 20th. He is being sued in a completely unrelated case from mine. He was in a deposition. There was a court reporter there. He didn't like the people that were suing him. The deposition lasted 6 minutes. And prior to that 6 minutes, he pulled out a gun from under his shirt, pointed it at the attorney and the plaintiff. The language was not civil. This past Tuesday, he was in the Discovery Commissioner's courtroom at the Justice Center. Now, he has a CCW. Now, this is an attorney who pulled this crap. The other attorney and the plaintiff ran for their lives out of the office.
He didn't shoot the gun, did he?
He did not discharge it. But what if I was sitting here and you said something I didn't like, and I reached for my gun and I pointed it at you?
There'd be a little pressure there.
And I wasn't sitting as close to you as I am now. You'd want to get the hell out of there as fast as you could. So
now,
this attorney is being
and that's your attorney?
Not my attorney. No, he is the defense attorney in my suit.
Okay.
He was sanctioned $2,500 for improper behavior in a deposition. The rest of the depositions have been stayed.
Should he lose his law license?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Are they making movement to make him get his law license?
Metro is investigating it. I don't know what's taking them so long. A court reporter was there who took all of this down, and she probably had a tape recorder, that's the norm, which would have recorded all the voice statements.
And this was in a deposition?
In a deposition.
It wasn't a video deposition?
I do not believe so. And the fact that the court reporter was there, she can testify as to what happened. And then the plaintiff and his attorney got out of the office as quickly as they could, went into their car, and this Mr. Pengilly followed them out into the parking lot.
Wow.
So the commissioner, or the discovery commissioner, stated that when the case resumes, it will be held in the courthouse with a marshal. Now, interestingly enough, this happened this past Tuesday. There's normally one marshal in the courtroom. That day, there were two.
So let me ask you, how did he get the gun inside the courtroom?
The deposition was taken in Mr. Pengilly's office.
Okay, got it.
So now I did find out that attorneys don't have to take their shoes or belts off when entering the courthouse, but they do have to go through a metal detector.
Mm-hmm.
So if he was carrying,
It would have been
disclosed.
Certainly.
Yeah. We are here having a very interesting discussion with Mr. Jonathan Friedrich. He is the Libertarian candidate for Nevada State Senate District 3. If you'd like to call in and speak to Mr. Friedrich and join the conversation, the number is 702-983-0711, and this station is being broadcast and being supported by Mail by Renee. You can get a wonderful Las Vegas address for $10 a month. We are on 716 South 10th Street. The number to call is 702-626-0716. And you can have a wonderful downtown address for $10 a month. Come in and see CN. And the number here again to call in if you want to speak to Mr. Friedrich, Radio Tribune, 702-983-0711. And I've already learned more from Mr. Friedrich than I have both debates between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. So this is very interesting.
The problem is they don't discuss the issues.
No.
Well, they're not asked the issues. The moderators don't ask them the issues. Let's face it. If they have good questions, they'd have to be answering the questions.
They dance around the questions.
The moderators are the ones that give them stuff that doesn't matter. And so it's all negative. Everything all the questions that are given to them are ridiculous questions. But anyway, I am in agreement with you, Chris. We're getting a lot of good information, and it's very positive that we find out that the voters have a chance to learn what the issues are, at least from this perspective.
And I'm telling you, I believe that the more Republicans and Democrats going forward, if they continue to play these childish games and throw rocks at one another, I believe the Libertarian and Independent candidates are going to get more success.
Well,
I would hope so.
You know, I am a supporter of one of the political parties, but I do subscribe to the idea that there's no place in the Constitution it says anything about Republicans or Democrats. It doesn't say anything. In order to be a good American, you should be independent, independent thinking, and so you want to pick the candidate that is really going to be, that will represent your interest, and that's not on the tape. And
Shocking.
You know, we want smart politicians. I think we've had this
Absolutely.
conversation before. We need smart politicians. We have a lot of dumb politicians out there.
And politicians that just follow the leader and do what is financially best for them.
That's
Are you,
right.
are you subscribing to the idea of being a career politician?
No.
So how many terms do you want to serve?
Depends how I feel at the end of 4 years. This
Okay, so
is
this-
a 4-year seat. I'm not a young kid anymore. I am relatively healthy, and as long as I can fulfill the position,
So you'll take it 4 years at a time and make your decision what you want to do after that?
one of the hardest. There are two very difficult chores in running the public office. One, which I despise, is raising money. And let's face it, without the money, you fall flat on your face.
You mean you can't get your message out?
Exactly. The second one, in this part of the world, it is going door to door, getting people, meeting people, letting them speak with you. And unfortunately, I would say somewhere's about 80% of the doors never open. And I don't care if you go out in the morning, midday, or early evening. And nobody will open the door after dark.
How many pairs of shoes have you been through?
I don't know, but I will tell you, I used to be 6 feet tall. Now I'm only 5'6".
All right.
Now, I feel like it's a shame what is happening to our veterans out here when they come back from serving our country. What is the libertarian view on the support for our veterans when they come back and what's happening to them?
There are a number of veterans groups, and they're not well funded. I myself have gone with a gal by the name of Angel DeFazio, who got a grant, and we distributed to buy sweatshirts for veterans. And we went over, I guess it's on Las Vegas Boulevard. It was an old motel that's been converted into veterans housing, and we distributed to them. Of course, no charge. And I mean, these people have risked their lives. They come back with all kinds of problems. And are we taking care of them?
Wow.
I don't think so. What I'd like to see, as far as help, if the Veterans Affairs can't manage or deal with all the medical problems, give them a plastic ID card and let them go to their own doctors that are willing to participate in giving them medical coverage.
That beats Obamacare, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you know, let me just talk about Obamacare. I'm glad you brought it up. No, Chris, you know what? You just opened up a Pandora's box at Obamacare. Well, no, the point I'm just going to say very quickly here is that they can't get it right with the Department of Veterans Affairs. They haven't been able to help the veterans out. And now they want to create Obamacare.
How much was wasted on creating this dumb website?
Yeah,
Hundreds of millions of
The
dollars.
one you can't get through on?
So, you know, you
That could
can't.
have bought medical coverage for people.
Yeah, so if they can't help veterans, how are they going to help everybody else? It just don't make sense.
Somehow, government, for the most part, can never do anything simply, economically, and of course, over the taxpayers a lot of money. So, anyhow, there's
Okay.
one other issue I did want to discuss, which is another major scam in this state. And actually,
You mean there's scams? You mean there's actually...
shocking.
You mean
In Nevada?
In Nevada, they don't know how to get into your pockets? I thought they were experts at getting into people's pockets here.
Well, that's why they're scams. Is the for-profit guardians. Is anybody familiar with that mess?
For-profit guardians.
If an individual becomes incapacitated, either physically or mentally, and they cannot take care of their own affairs, pay their own bills, get food into the house. And it's reported to a family court judge. That judge will appoint a for-profit guardian. That guardian takes control of an individual's affairs. And I don't care if you have a, not a will, I'm trying to think of the document, trust. The for-profit guardian supersedes everything and everyone. That for-profit guardian, and I think there were 37 of them in this state, now, thanks to Ronna Goodman, who led the charge, and Dan Roberts, they were able to get the laws changed. There's still more laws that need to be enacted to straighten this mess out, but now there are only 4 FOUR, for-profit guardians. The worst of the worst was a woman by the name of April Parks, who fleeced the, quote, they call them the wards, people out of tens of thousands of dollars, failed to pay their assessments for their homes. The homes were foreclosed by the homeowners associations, and then the guardians would bid on them to buy them, and then sell them, flip them, and put all the money in their pockets.
You know what? This is more than a scam. This is corruption at the core.
But yet, April Parks has fled the state, moved to Pennsylvania. They've issued a bench warrant for her, but they can't extradite her. So she's walked away with all this money, left I don't know how many dozens of people in financial ruin. This is worse than a disgrace.
Wow. That's
and this is going on here and in other parts of the country.
You know, I've never heard
this is
about
this. This is when I talk about protecting our citizens.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't care if it's the for-profit guardians, NV Energy with their high-priced electric, homeowners associations with the commerce and margin tax. We've got to protect our citizens.
All right. In one of our earlier programs, we had a deported veteran, United States military veteran, that called in from Tijuana, Mexico. He had basically been deported. He grew up here in the United States, joined the armed forces, and he was a paratrooper, served his enlistment, and got an honorable discharge. Well, he happened to later down the road, after his enlistment was over, was shooting off a gun, and it was a felony for him to do that. And they basically, he served a 3-year sentence. He spent 3 years in a facility, and when he got out, they deported him out of America because he didn't have the quote-unquote citizenship that was necessary. How do you feel about deported veterans? He would just be one example. There's many thousands.
I would say there should be an exemption. If they were willing to serve in the armed forces, protect this country, then why throw them out? Now, I don't know the details about the discharge of the firearm. Did he do it at a person? Did he shoot a tree like one of our former county commissioners did? Each case should stand on its own. Just can't make a generalization.
All right.
Once again, we're sitting here talking to Jonathan Friedrich. I'm sorry, he's the Libertarian candidate for the Nevada State Senate, District 3. And once again, if you would like to talk to him, you can call in here at 702-983-0711. And Mr. Friedrich, if you'd like to give again once more time your information, if they would like to talk to you or contribute to your campaign.
Sure. My phone number is 702-822-4555. And the website is Friedrich, Friedrich, 4 FOR, S like in Sam, D like in David, 3.
And isn't this
.com.
refreshing? Isn't this refreshing, John? We're actually talking about issues.
Yeah,
Isn't this
that's
something?
pretty incredible. So then there are libertarians have a whole slew of issues that they support or don't support and stuff like that. Why are you a libertarian? Is there any like core reason or core issues that you're like all the way for them?
The answer is complicated. They offer a fresher, cleaner approach to government. The Democrats and the Republicans are fixated in their positions, which I agree with and don't agree with. So the big issue that I have with the libertarians is the marijuana.
You're totally against that?
Yeah, I know, except the medical marijuana. And I know a number of people who I have met over the years who have used it, and many people will not agree with me, but this is my own opinion. Their brains are fried from the use of it. And I don't think you should be putting smoke and foreign substances into your body and your lungs.
Do you think there's any advantage, though, to the legalization? Any tax incentives or anything you think that would help the state of Nevada? Because that's California's one of their main issues is how much tax revenue it would bring into the state. Do you think it would help the state of Nevada if we legalize it?
I don't know how much they project, but projections are not reality. One of the things that concerns me is all the drunk drivers we have here. Mm-hmm. You'll hear it every morning on the morning news. Mm-hmm. Do we want, in addition to drunk drivers, stoned drivers? I don't. I was here a couple of weeks, and I was almost broadsided by a pickup truck. It took me a half hour to calm down from shaking from the incident. And you just see the constant horrific traffic accidents, and right away, and I would say 9 times out of 10 you hear that they were arrested for DUI. Yeah. What did that do to our insurance rates here?
Well, that was a question I was going to ask. Is already the insurance rates are pretty high in Nevada.
They went higher in Colorado after recreational marijuana was passed. So hold on to your checkbook, or else get a second job to help pay for your increased real estate taxes, higher electric rates, and automobile insurance. This used to be a business-friendly state.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. It's all over the nation. It's really taking off all over nations, and that's really the bottom line. Is we need to be more business friendly so that there can be jobs created and stuff that could really economic advantages to our whole economy. But going back to your statement just a minute ago, Chris, on California, they come up with so many scams and gimmicks to raise money. Many years ago, I remember they had this lottery. They put out this lottery initiative that if Californians would accept it, that all this extra money that they got from this would go towards education.
It's always the same story. Oh, we're going to do this, and it's going to go to education.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we should be graduating geniuses with all this money.
Okay. Well, right now California is like bottom of the totem pole of all the states. Okay, and I know they're making tons of money in the lottery, but anyway, what they've done with this money, and hopefully Nevada doesn't do that, is that they get this money into the general, into the fund, and then they switch it to the general fund, and then they start divvying and diverting that money to other locations.
Like with Social Security, all they've got in the Social Security account is IOUs. Leave it to government to screw it all up.
I would say that, yeah, it's truly amazing how our politicians basically divert this very valuable resource tax money, and they're always looking for other ways to raise more money so they can spend in other
squander it.
Yeah, squander it.
You know, I'm a staunch Republican, and I know you are too, John. I wish Mr. Friedrich was a Republican because he makes a lot of common sense.
Well, look what the Republicans did in the last legislative session. They voted for the tax increase.
Well, and see, this is what's happening in California. You have a lot of Republicans that are really rhinos. They're Republican name only.
Yeah.
And so it seems like maybe there's some Republicans here in Nevada that are rhinos.
They must have caught the cold.
And-
Now,
yeah.
why are so many Californians, if California is so wonderful, why are they moving here?
Rents. Rents are going sky high. If you live in the Silicon Valley, you're lucky if you pay $3,000 for a little apartment.
Well, same thing in Manhattan, New York City. They've
Anyway-
gone ballistic. People moved into sections of Brooklyn and Queens that they never, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, would have considered. They're being gentrified, and the young folks can't afford Manhattan. That used to be the mecca that you had to run and live in Manhattan for the nightlife, and you worked there. Now they're running away. Look at me. Why did I move here 14 years ago? I couldn't afford the real estate taxes. That house of mine had no mortgage on it, and it was costing me $150 a day, every day, 7 days a week.
You should see the property values in Harlem ever since the Clintons moved in. I'm from that neck of the woods too. I lived many years in Brownsville, Brooklyn. I know what the rents are there now. It's ridiculous. There's so many transplants now coming from New York and Chicago out here now because the rents are just they're insane.
Well, this has been a great conversation.
Absolutely.
We appreciate your time and effort. One last time, if you can just tell everybody your name, your contact information.
But no blood pressure.
And not right now.
It's Jonathan Friedrich, and the running for Senate District 3. And my website is Jonathan Friedrich, FRIEDRICH, 4FORSD3.com.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time
you.
and effort.
Absolutely.